Hey, Shalom Aleichem, everyone. This is going to be a series on the Nesivos Shalom on Shovavim. For anyone who's interested, this is the Cholveretz I'm learning out of. This disclaimer, I'm not personally so familiar with the Nesivos Shalom. He was the previous Jerusalem Admor of Slonim Chassidus, and his books were very popular. Even with people who aren't affiliated with Hasidus, they find a lot of inspiration. A lot of people from different spectrums like to learn it. So I haven't learned so much of his stuff before. A little bit on the Parsha here and there. It's very enjoyable stuff. But yeah, we'll go through this together. And this, they say, is apparently things special for Shovavim, not necessarily connected to his Ma'amarim that he wrote in the Parshot of Shovavim in his Perush on the Torah. So it starts out with, instead of a Hakdama, a letter to his yeshiva. It's from Tafshin Nun, so like 1989, 1990. And he says, ראשית, מודה אני לפניך, השם אלוקינו, על כל החסד אשר עשית עמדי ואשר אתה עתיד לעשות עמי. I'd first of all like to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the good things he's done for me and that he's going to continue doing in the future. ורק מאת השם היה זאת, כי בינתיים איני יכול להיות איתכם יחד בימים הגדולים האלו, ימי הכנה לשובבים, ומשתמש אני בכתובים לעורר את חובת היום. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be with you in the days leading up to the preparation of Shovavim. So I'm using these letters and these writings in order to arouse everyone and wake them up for the great sanctity of this time. Zachta yeshivatenu hakadosha me'et ha'huzda sha'amida et inyan Shovavim le'yamim merkazim shebashana. Our yeshiva has merited that the days of Shovavim are a very central time to the year in this yeshiva. לימים שבהם מסוגל להתקרב לעבודת השם ולתקן בהם את הפגמים הידועים על ידי שקידה עצומה בתורה שבעל פה. And that these days are very advantageous for coming close to the service of Hashem and fixing the damage done by the known sins, i.e. pagam abris, and connected sins. And that the main way to fix that is through very deep diligence in Torah Shabbal Peh. And in general, I think if they're referring to Torah Shabbal Peh, he's probably meaning, Torah Shabbal Peh, but mostly Gemara learning. V'samnu yetzidotenu b'ma'amar Chazal, Shamar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Barati Ditzahara, Barati Lo Torah Tavlin. Right? And we've placed the peg of our tent on the saying of Chazal that Hashem said, I created also the Yetzirah and also the cure for the Yetzirah, this special spice called Torah. It's a very famous phrase in the Gemara that basically Hashem is saying that learning Torah is the cure for the ailments of the Yetzirah. ובמאמר הרב הקדוש מאפתא שכתב בואב ישראל פרשת ויחי וזה לשונו ועל פגם ברית קודש תקנו קדמוננו להתענות ולעשות תשובה בימי הפרישיות של שובבים. And as for what the Rav of Apta wrote in Oav Yisrael in Parshat V'Yachi, that he said that Pagam Brit Kodesh, our forefathers established that we should do fasts in order to do tshuva in these days of separating ourselves out, separating from physical things, trying to focus on being more spiritual during these days of Shovavim. V'hine nit ma'atu koach hadorot ve'enam yicholim la'asot sigufim v'ta'aniyot kiroi. But because of Yeridas Adoros, because the generations have gotten weak, we no longer have the strength to do all these fasts and all these self-afflictions like would be necessary. Im kol ze mi shirat Hashem nega belibo tzarich litames vela'atzot tshuva al avon chataim elo ki gadol hu habagam minso. But nevertheless, someone who the fear of God touches his heart, he needs to be brave and kind of power through in order to do tshuva on the damage and the crookedness of these sins, because their damage is too big to bear. Ubifrat b'yamei hifrishiyot Shovavim v'chule, and specifically during these days of separation, during Shovavim, again separating ourselves off from the physicality. והתיקון העיקרי הוא בשקידה עצומה בלימוד התורה שבעל פה, ולברר הלכה בליבון ברור יפה. And the main rectification is through very deep diligence in the learning of oral Torah Shebal Peh, and very, very finely cleared clarifications in what the halacha is. ובזה הוא מקבץ חלקי הטוב וניצוצות קדושות מתוך הקליפות להוציא בעולם מפיהם. And through this, he's able to gather up the portions of good and all the holy sparks that have fallen down into the klipa, and to extract them out from what was swallowed in the mouths of the Sitra Achra. Vezeo ikar tikun al pagme brit kodesh. And this is the main rectification from the damage of done by Pagam Bris Kodesh, right? U beSefer Kadosh Charedim Parak Gimel, and in the Sefer Charedim in the third parak, Mipirkei Tshuva Shebasof Sefer, from the chapters of Tshuva at the end of the book, K'tab B'Shem Harizal V'zeh Lashano. So he quotes the Arizal to say, Kol ma shetimsei b'divrei rishonim תוכחת על עוון, עוון וסיגופים וייסורים, קשים, שלג וחרולין והפסקות עינויים, לא נזכרו אלא למי שאין עמלו בתורה. So all the Arya Kadosh is saying, all these different rectifications and ways to do tshuva that were suggested for fixing these sins through fasting, rolling around in the snow and afflicting yourselves in all these different ways, that was mainly directed at people who their main occupation isn't learning Torah. Aval mi shetorato emunato v'yodea dat v'yirat Hashem, zoti takanato. Lo yechalish v'lo yitpatel mitalmudo. But for someone who Torah learning is his main thing that he does, that's his essence, right? So that's the main thing he should be doing, and he shouldn't weaken himself, and he shouldn't do anything to cancel out his learning or neglect it, right? Meaning, if someone's fasting a lot, if they're taking time to go roll in the snow, they're doing this tikkun, they're doing that tikkun. A lot of the stuff is meant in order to break the body, right? Because the body was the primary benefactor of this physical pleasure done by these sins, right? But the problem is that when you're breaking the body so much, it also weakens you that you can't learn so much. So someone who's not learning Torah so much, so okay, you need to find other ways to fix what the body did wrong. But for someone who's already learning diligently, right, so he should keep up his learning. And if he's going to weaken himself, then he's not, then he's missing out on the learning, which is the main rectification in the first place. אך יום אחד בשבוע יתרחק מבני אדם ויתבודד בינו ובין קונו ותתקשר מחשבתו בו יתברך וכולי. So this person who's involved in learning Torah, he should focus on the Torah. He shouldn't weaken himself. But, during these days, he should take one day out of the week in order that he should be alone. He should distance himself from other people in order that he can focus on just connecting his thoughts with Hashem, and trying to be together with Hashem and forge and strengthen that relationship. ובעניין הזה יש להוסיף מה שכתב יסוד ושורש העבודה. And on this, it's worthwhile to add what was written in the Sefer Yesod v'Shorsh HaAvoda, שכתב והקובע לו ללמוד 5 שעות בלי שום הפסק דיבור בעניין אחר וכולי. נראה לי דבר בזה הוא עניין נפלא המועיל, ומזכך ומכפר ומביא אותו אדם לתשובה וכפרה מעולה. So he says, someone who's able to learn for 5 hours straight without interrupting about speaking about any other thing, 5 hours straight, just straight learning, no interruptions, no speaking about anything other than his learning. So that's a huge, huge tikkun. and it's able to bring him to big tshuva and forgiveness, like a very, very high level of kapara. V'osifu bishmo Baal Pei Shamar, ki ze bechinat ta'anit Shabbat Shabbat. And they added in his name that this is also an aspect of, is if someone was doing a fast from one Shabbos to the next, basically fasting the entire week. V'lo'or kol ha'amor kavanu et kedushat yamim shovavim milmod ba'otzma rabti shebechelkam yiyu bli hefsek 5 sha'ot mo'il mizachech mechaper. And in light of all this, we're trying to dedicate ourselves that people should try this out, of learning 5 hours straight without any interruptions, in order that they should really purify and atone themselves. Tkufat Shovavim hi lemala me-40 yom. And this period of Shovavim lasts more than 40 days. But the 40 yom hi tkufat chashuva b'chaim sheyesh ba leshenot et hateva. And there's an idea that a period of 40 days is a very important thing in order to be able to change certain aspects of one's life. V'lavor me-darga la-darga b'chaim. And to go from level to level in ascendance in one's life. Chumosh k'tuv b'Moshe Rabbeinu shebechol pam liato l'shemayim haya 40 yom v'arba'im laila. It said about Moshe Rabbeinu, he went up to Shemaim 3 times, right? And each time he was up there 40 days and 40 nights. So this is one of the places where we can learn this aspect of 40 days being a period of time that can, really help someone to make major changes and growth in their life. והיינו כי 40 יום היא תקופה בחיים שאפשר לעבור בו מדרגה לדרגה, וכמו שכתוב בנועם אלימלך בציטל קטן אות ט"ז כי האדם לא נברא רק לשבר את הטבע. Right? And it's also written in the Noam Elimelech that a man's whole purpose in being in this world, the only reason he was created is in order that he should be able to break his nature and to overcome his natural instincts and rise above them. And through a period of doing something for 40 days straight, it can enable a person to overcome his natural inclinations. וכן מי שטיבו אינו מתמיד בלימודו ירגיל עצמו 40 יום ללמוד יותר מהרגיל וכולי. ועל ידי זה יעזרו מן השמיים להיות מוסיף והולך בשבירת מידות רעות עד תומם. So he says that someone who for 40 days straight manages to increase his Torah learning and to learn more than he's usually accustomed to learning during that time period, this can help him to get heavenly assistance and to break his nature and his bad character traits until he's been able to rectify them. ואני פונה לכל אחד ואחד בבני הישיבה היקרים, כי ימי שובבים הבאים יבוא התגייסות כללית לתורה ולעבודה בדרך גבוהה. And I'm turning to all the members of the yeshiva that everyone should be enlisted in a general call-up for working on their Torah in a very high level during the days of Shovavim. Chizku v'atzmu וגם אלו שהיו מוזנחים ולא עשו חיל יביאו מפנה במהותם. Everyone needs to be brave and courageous and break through. And even those who were, neglected on the side and they weren't so big in their Torah learning, right? So they should also change change the way they are. ואם לא עכשיו, ואם מתי? And if not now, when? ועל מה שהביא חרדים מהאריזל, שרק יום אחד בשבוע יתבודד ויתרחק מבני אדם וכו'. And what the Sefer Charedim brought from the Arizal, that someone should appoint a certain day of the week that he separates himself from other people in order to seclude himself with Hashem. הנה במואר שמש, כתב כי לפני הרת אורו של הבשת היה עניין התבודדות במקום ריחוק מבני אדם. So it was already brought from the days of the Baal Shem Tov that now he's established that you can even seclude yourself while not being distanced from other people. אבל אחר שהבעל שם טוב האיר את העולם באורו והתבודדות הוא דווקא בין יהודים גם יחד. So he's saying, sorry, before the times of the Baal Shem Tov, so this hitbodedut could only be done at great distances from other people. But now, from the time of the Baal Shem Tov and onwards, we've established that it can even be done while amongst other Jews. אז מסוגל להתבודד, להתדבק בהשם, וזה עניין השבתות המיוחדות של שובבים. And so you can be mitboded and attach yourself to Hashem, and that's a big aspect of the Shabbases, these special Shabbases during the weeks of Shovavim. Shekol mitziutan hu dvekut b'Hashem. That their whole essence is to attach oneself to Hashem. והקדוש ברוך הוא יעזור להביא מפני בחיי הישיבה בצורה ועבודה התחדשות לטובה b'nefesh ruach v'neshama. And Hashem should help us to lighten up our lives of the people of the yeshiva in Torah and their avodat kodesh, their holy service, and to renew it for good for all the different levels of their soul. All right, so with this, we conclude the letter which serves as the Akdama, and we will continue from there.